$200 million. That's how much Africa spends importing cement every single month. For decades, European conglomerates control the market, happy to ship in product with maximum profit and minimal investment. Then came Aliko Dangote. He saw a continent building, a hunger ignored, and a fortune waiting for someone bold enough to actually eat themselves. For generations, the narrative whispered across the continent was one of dependency. Aid trickling in, resources flowing out. A continent perpetually waiting for the investment, the know-how, the blessing of the West. But sometimes, the greatest revolutions begin not with grand pronouncements, but with a simple act of defiance. Before the rise of the African titans, a very different set of players dominated the economic landscape. European conglomerates, their roots firmly planted in colonial soil, controlled vast swathes of industry, mining, agriculture, and of course, manufacturing. But a curious paradox emerged. While these behemoths were eager to extract raw materials, they hesitated to truly build, to truly invest in the very nations that fueled their empires. Enter Aliko Dangote. A name now synonymous with African success. But his story isn't just about wealth, it's about vision, about recognizing an opportunity staring everyone else in the face. An opportunity that European industries had conveniently overlooked. You see, for decades, the prevailing strategy was simple: extract raw materials cheaply, ship them to Europe for processing, and then sell the finished goods back to Africa at exorbitant prices. A textbook example of exploitation disguised as trade. Cement, sugar, flour, these were basic necessities, yet Africa remained dependent on imports. The jobs created, the profits reaped, all remained firmly outside the continent. Dangote saw the injustice, but more importantly, he saw the potential. He realized that the greatest wealth wasn't in controlling the resources, but in controlling the processing, the manufacturing, the value addition. In 1981, Dangote started trading commodities, but the real game changer came with manufacturing. He asked a fundamental question: why import what we can make ourselves? His initial focus: cement. A seemingly mundane product, but the foundation upon which nations are built. He built sprawling factories, employing thousands of Africans, creating a domestic supply that undercut the European importers. But here is where it gets interesting. While foreign companies focused on short-term profits and minimum investment, Dangote reinvested heavily. He scaled aggressively. He expanded across borders. And he did something that sent shockwaves through the old guard. He began exporting. Chapter 2. Why it matters now. The story of Aliko Dangote is not some historical anomaly. It's a blueprint. A playbook coded in resilience, ambition, and a deep understanding of what Africa needs. And perhaps more importantly, what it doesn't. Let's turn our gaze south, to Zimbabwe, and the remarkable story of Strive Masiyiwa. A man with a vision to connect his nation to the burgeoning mobile revolution. But access, as so many African entrepreneurs discover, is rarely freely given. It must be fought for. Imagine this, it's the early 1990s. Mobile technology is transforming the world, promising unprecedented communication and economic opportunity. Masiyiwa saw this potential for Zimbabwe. He applied for a mobile license. He was denied. Not once, but repeatedly. For 5 long years, the Zimbabwean government, entrenched in its old ways, said no. No to progress, no to opportunity, no to Masiyiwa. 5 years. A lifetime in the tech world. Most would have given up. Packed their bags, sought greener pastures in London, maybe Johannesburg. But Masiyiwa is not most people. He dug in. He challenged the government in court. A David versus Goliath battle that seemed impossible to win. He risked everything. His reputation, his savings, his future. He believed, fiercely, unapologetically, in his vision. And in 1998, after a protracted legal battle that captivated the nation, he won. Econet Wireless, Mosiuo's company, finally got its license. But here's the critical lesson. The detail often overlooked. Mosiuo wasn't just fighting for a license, he was fighting a system. A system that favored the established, the connected, the orphan. European interest. This same interest that had, for decades, dictated the pace of Africa's technological advancement. They had the capital, the expertise, the political sway. They could have brought mobile technology to Zimbabwe years earlier. But they didn't. Why? Because controlled scarcity suited their agenda. Because a connected Africa, an empowered Africa, a thriving Africa, presented a threat to their established dominance. Wait, what? They restricted access. Aliko Dangote's story isn't just about cement and sugar. It's about vision. It's about betting on Africa, when others wouldn't. It is about building the industries that should have been built here decades ago. It's a playbook for a generation of Africans ready to take control of their own economic destiny. What Dangote recognized, and what's vital for entrepreneurs today, is that the greatest opportunities lie in solving Africa's challenges, meeting its needs, and creating value right here, within the continent. Want to dive deeper into these strategies and connect with other ambitious Africans? Join our insider membership at pannaafrica.com/membership.html for just $9 a month. You'll gain access to exclusive content, expert analysis, and a network of like-minded individuals. Dangote's success proves that African solutions can build global empires. His story is ours. Tag someone who needs to hear the African Story Globe Show in Europe, Africa.